From prison to peer work, brought to you in partnership with the Pursue It If You Want It nonprofit organization. Join us as we explore these powerful narratives that not only highlight the struggles, but also celebrate the victories of individuals who have used their past as a stepping stone to build a promising future. We delve deep into the lives of individuals who have turned their experiences into powerful stories of success through the strength of resilience and peer support. Stay tuned for episodes that promise to be as enlightening as they are inspiring.
Warning, the following interview is recorded live, uncensored and unrehearsed.
I'm really feeling my powers these days, man. That's all. Goats wear the other goats' uniform. Hope you guys can see that. TB12, man.
All right. Look, yeah. I'm here with Kalvin. Welcome to From Prison to Peer Work. We just showcasing this is a Pie Talk podcast production. And you heard it in the warning. These questions are not rehearsed. Whatever comes out of Kalvin's mouth comes out of Kalvin's mouth. It is what it is. So
this is off the cuff, man. I don't know what's coming.
You don't. I got a couple pages of questions. We got about 45 minutes, maybe an hour, depending on how long-winded his answers are. You ready to just dive right in or what? All right, we'll start easy, I guess.
Yes, sir.
So
number one.
Yeah, number one. Can you share some memories from your childhood?
Oh man, I think I had a pretty good childhood. I had four great parents. Of course, everyone has their issues. I had some BS here and there, but I'd say overall, man, I had four good parents that tried to instill in me things that made me a better human being. And now that I'm older and I have my own children, I understand what they were trying to do. A lot of things make sense that didn't necessarily make sense at the time. They just wanted the best human being. That's all. That's it.
What do you mean by four good parents?
Mom, dad, stepmom, stepdad. I call stepdad dad. I call stepmom mom. You know, they're all my people. They've all been married. My mom and my dad have been married over 20 years, and same with my other mom and dad. You know, so they've all been in my life since I was second, third grade.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
How would you describe your neighborhood and community in your early years?
Okay, so a military brat. I moved around a lot. Not only was I moving between my parents' house, but the military also had us moving around as well. So, man, Virginia, been to South Carolina, Colorado, Washington. Yeah, man, I've been East St. Louis, Illinois, Chattanooga, Tennessee. We've been all over the place, man. Yes, sir.
So you kind of had just a overall, when you were moving around, were you always on a base?
Yep, or if not on the base, right outside of the base. Sometimes we didn't always live on base housing. But I grew up, man, in such a diverse culture, all different races. Racism, honestly, I didn't even get the concept of racism until they taught me in school, because I was around so many different kids growing up my entire life, from the YMCA to the youth center on base to off base over here. You know, yeah, man, yeah, we were all over the place.
Okay. So what were some of your interests and hobbies as a child?
Basketball. Loved basketball. Football, even though I never played until high school. I played flag when I was a little kid, but basketball I played my whole life. And I wanted to play baseball, and I regret not playing baseball. But I saw the pitcher get hit in the face with the ball off the bat. And right before the baseball season, we were going into it, and I was watching ESPN. The pitcher threw it. It came off the bat. It busted him. I said, Mom, I don't want to play baseball. She's like, you sure? And now I regret that, man. So I never played organized baseball.
All right. How old were you when you first had an encounter with the law?
You know what? I got started late, man. About 20 or 21. Yep. And it was okay. No, I take that back. I did get a driving infraction when I was in high school, but like first significant trouble Yeah, like going to jail or whatever. I was in my early 20s.
Are you comfortable describing your first crime or illegal activity?
Oh yeah, yeah, no problem. So actually, I had a warrant. I had gotten a DUI, and I didn't fulfill some of the court obligations, and my car window got broken in the parking lot of my apartment complex,
Mm.
and I kind of slow walked cleaning it up, and then one day the cops knocked on my door, and they're like, "Hey, you gotta clean this up." And as we're talking to the police and we're cleaning it up, they ran my name. I didn't even know I had a warrant, so I had to go sit in all places Olympia City Jail, the world's worst jail.
Olympia City Jail is the
Oh
world's
my
worst
goodness.
jail.
It's probably worse than a Cambodian jail, man, to be honest with you.
So when
Oh
when
my
when
goodness.
when did you first come into contact with drugs and
Mm,
alcohol?
I'm glad you asked. You know what? I was
I'm glad you're glad I asked.
so the alcohol started, in high school, the parties, the friends, we were drinking then, but I mean, I did get a DUI, so it's hard for me to say that or paint the picture that I didn't have a problem. I clearly did looking back on it. But the hard drugs started when I pinched my sciatic nerve. I was in college playing college basketball, and all of a sudden there was a shooting pain up my back, and I had never even seen an opiate before that. Never even seen one. And my neighbor just so happened to have it. That's how that started, man.
That's crazy. We family. I didn't even know that
Mm-hmm.
the beginning started simple as something like that. So
Pinched
that
nerve,
answers
man.
one of the other questions: is what led you to start using, right? And I guess can you describe your drug of choice and what it did for you emotionally or physically?
Well, physically, initially it erased the shooting pain that went up the the back of my butt and my back. But also, when I look back on it, I instantly fell in love with opiates. Um, from my first time ever using them, I yeah, it's clear that there was a love relationship that had started in that moment.
At what point did you realize that your substance use was a problem?
When I dropped out of college, when it wasn't the not going to class and the coach and teachers asking me, is something wrong? It wasn't my family asking me, is something wrong? I think it actually hit me when I didn't have good enough grades to continue to attend school. I was like, okay, something's wrong. Because I was always a good student. I was always a good student.
How many times were you incarcerated?
Man, a whole bunch, man. Too many to count. If we're counting just even the little violations, probably 50. But long, major sentences, 4.
So what was your longest term and what was that for?
60 months with DOSA for delivery of heroin.
Mm.
Yep.
And so you said DOSA, and the next question that comes up is, did you participate in any rehabilitation programs while incarcerated?
Of course, but these are all mandated things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in order for me to get that extra third off of my sentence, I had to attend these classes, and yeah, I did get something from it, but at the time, whether I knew it or not, I was already planning to use upon my departure from prison, right?
Okay.
The seed was always there. I wasn't ready mentally to stop. It's just that I had got caught and I was forced to stop.
Yeah. Yeah. So can you describe the moment when you realized you weren't living up to your full potential?
Mm. Yeah, when I
I
wasn't
had a friend, Jeremy Suggs.
okay.
He calls those. He's a life coach in Cali. I was in the feds with him, and he calls those aha moments.
Aha moments,
So
right?
when was your aha moment? Like, I'm not doing what I know I could be doing.
You know what? I remember it when every person in my life had lost faith in me. From
Oh,
from 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 my family
oh, that
to
hurt.
my DLC officer. Um, I couldn't keep a commitment to save my life You know what I mean? I'll be there in 5 minutes, I'll be there in an hour, or I might not be there at all, you know? And when my mom told my spouse to plan financially as if I was not there, I think that's when it started to hit me. And this is my mom telling her that.
How'd you find out about that? Like,
They told me. They both told me.
Oh, they both told you that? Okay, that they had that conversation?
Right.
Yeah. So how did backhanded comments like, you have so much potential, affect your self-perception and motivation?
So for someone to say that you have so much potential indicates that you are not reaching your potential. Yes, it's a compliment in a way, depending on how someone says it to you. But the way that people were saying it to me was, you can do so much more than this.
It was almost kind of like pity, like,
so to speak.
Yeah, kind of like you have so much potential. Like, why this? That kind of.
I expect more from you. You have so much more. You can do more than this. The light and the energy that you give off, Kalvin, when you come in the room is worth more than what you're doing with your life. And everyone told me that. People that I would just meet on the bus or walking down the street or at a job that I would have temporarily, because those will never last too long. And you know what? I had a job at a restaurant once, and there was a big holiday coming up. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to put the restaurant on blast, but there was a significant holiday for this restaurant, and it was the biggest thing every year. And they were going to give me the entire shift this day. I got arrested the 2 days before. I had to call my boss from jail and tell him I'm not going to be there. And he told me, he said, "Man, this is crazy." He said, "You have so much potential." He said, I'm upset and I'm hurt. And he said, this time, because this wasn't the first time, but it was the significance of the day. He said, "I might not be able to help you out when you get out this time for the job."
Yeah. What are some of the strategies you used to hide your drug use from friends and family?
Lie.
Just lie.
Lie. I think it was fairly obvious to everyone, even though I thought that they didn't know. Because there's just certain aspects that come with that type of life that's apparent to everyone on the outside.
Yeah.
Right? And no matter what we project or put off, people who aren't getting high don't sleep outside. They have money. They acquire things. I was just depreciating not only in value, but as a person.
Some sober people do sleep outside.
True.
But
True.
I hear what you're saying.
Right.
I respect it.
Right.
So, which kind of segues into, what made you prefer sleeping in bus stops and behind dumpsters over seeking help to get clean?
Ego. No. Yeah, that. And if I sought help, I would be away from the drug. Right. So ultimately,
so you just weren't ready for the help.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I had a choice to make. Either I can go seek help. I know they're going to put me in treatment when I ask, but I can no longer do drugs. So the trade-off was, with the sacrifice of continuing to have to sleep in bus stops, behind dumpsters, behind McDonald's. And that's ultimately the choice that I made.
Yeah.
It was more important to me to continue to live that way because I could acquire what I was trying to get to. Right?
What aha moment did you have when you realized the extent of your addiction and its impact on your life?
I think there was a couple, right? But I think there was one in particular. I was known as a liar inside DOC. None of them trusted me. I could have walked in the DOC and told my officer the sky was blue, and he would have second guessed it. But when I finally was done, and I knew I was done, and I went in there and told him I'm done, the look he gave me almost drove me even more to want to prove him wrong. Because I knew at that point I was done. But after years and years of doing this, I mean, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure, Kyle.
What was that turning point when you realized that jail was not a solution to your problems?
When I realized that same potential that everyone else was talking about, that I was capable of, right? And when I realized that I can gain my family back, I can get. It's not too late, right? Because once I'm dead, it's a wrap. And since my heart is still beating, I can really do anything, and I believe that.
Yeah. Glad you answered in
Yeah.
that way, because the next question is, how did you navigate the internal struggle between your addiction and your desire to maintain your relationships with your family?
My support system is probably one of the best ever. You know, my mom, my spouse, my brothers, a couple of my good friends, and then with the help of like Northwest Resources and them putting me places, even DOC and their little classes that I used to hate to go to, but it was the accountability. From 3:45 to 5 o'clock, I had to be in this class, and that was an hour and 15 minutes. I wasn't out seeking drugs. You know what I'm saying? And the 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 realization that the embarrassment of failing another UA when I told everyone I'm clean. I think that had a lot to do with it too.
Mm.
I didn't want to face that moment again. I said I'm done. Oh, I'm done, y'all. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. And that's how I got caught in the past. They knew I was high, but they couldn't prove it. But then I'm getting violated at DOC. Clearly, you were doing something, my brother.
So, how did you manage to maintain your commitment to outpatient treatment even after being released from DOC?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked me that. Yeah, so I started my outpatient while still on DOC. I got released from DOC in the middle of my outpatient, and I continued to go. And when I say continued to go, that means catching the bus to the first class they offered. I don't remember if it was 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock, but I'd catch the bus from the other side of town, still go to my obligation, and everyone in the class knew or thought I was going to stop showing up. I might have even said in class, once I'm off DLC, I'm done. But you know what? I had completed IOP before, but the mentality was always to go right back out.
Mm.
And this time, I I wanted to complete it for myself. You know what I mean? I wanted to show everyone that I could do it for real this time.
Yeah. Which leads to, what internal or external factors contributed to your sense of feeling like yourself again?
Mm. Feeling like myself again when I could be trusted.
Mm.
When I said I'll be somewhere and I was there 5 minutes early. When my employers don't have to worry about if I'm gonna make it into work. When my family doesn't have to worry about if I'm coming home tonight. Right? These are real things. These are real things that I'm sure a lot of people who are and aren't using still struggle with.
Yeah.
But if I can keep my commitment, because your word is your bond, man. A lot of times that's all you have is your word when it comes down to it. And if I can't even have that, then what do I have? I could have all the money in the world, but if someone can't trust your word, then it's shit. It's
Yeah.
worthless.
Yeah. How do you balance working 7 days a week
Mhm.
with taking care of your mental, physical, and emotional health?
These kids got to eat, man. These kids got to eat. I have goals that I want to achieve. I'm still young enough to where my body can sustain this schedule. So, I got started late. I wasted a lot of time doing drugs and a lot of time sitting in a cell. And I don't have the same tenure like a 401k that say me. Maybe some other people my age do. So I have to take these next block of time and essentially catch up and set my family up a certain way because I mean their mental health, their physical health, their physical wealth, their mental wealth depends on me and my spouse going to work. And when I realized that, they didn't ask to be here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's my job and her job to take care of them. And everything we do directly affects these children. 100%. And I want to set a good example, man. I want to be on my deathbed one day, and I envision it. My kids are standing around. Maybe I'm in a hospital. Who knows? But they're sad, right? And they're proud of what I did. And it's not an interaction to where they're showing up just because I'm their dad. They're showing up because they love me and they're sad to see me go. You know, and there's a huge difference there.
No, I understand. I respect that. Can you share any specific challenges that you face now in maintaining your sobriety, your mental health in your current routine?
I'm so busy that I don't even have time for any of that. However, I have had, probably thoughts, or I don't want to say urges, but I just have too much to lose. I have so much that I've built in this amount of time that when I take a step back and look at the situation, it's not worth it. It doesn't add up to me. And not to mention, the drugs now aren't the same as 4.5, 5 years ago when I was doing them.
They're
People
scary
are
as hell.
dying, bro.
They're scary as hell.
I can't take that chance, man.
Yeah. So how do you cope with feelings of tiredness, frustration, and physical discomfort in your daily life? And you're married. Like how does that look for you?
Probably not the best. I will admit, probably not the best. And I can use some work in that area. I tend to just kind of suppress it, or just kind of move on from it. I do have a real kind of fuck it type of attitude and just keep going. And I know that isn't the best, but if I gave you an answer to that right now, I would be lying to you. Right now, for that, I do absolutely nothing but push through and just keep it moving.
Mm. So how has your perspective on life and relationships shifted since overcoming your addiction?
I think my perspective on life and relationships align pretty similar. I just have better relationships now. I think I always felt the same about life and death, but my relationships are pure now. They're not based around mine and this person's mutual um, goal in mind to achieve a drug. You're with somebody in the drug game, and you wake up together, and every waking moment is spent trying to achieve your next high, right? And whether that means they lie to you, or you lie to them, or they steal from you, and it's not authentic, right? And you go to jail, they don't write you. You know what's up, man. You know what it is. If I went to jail tomorrow for, let's say, defending my family or something like that, I do believe I have people that would write me and I could JPay with and communicate with. I think people would come see me, right? If I went to jail for a just reason.
Yeah. It's the beauties of being outside. Got airplanes, cars, and
Right.
wind. And you have a lovely home.
Thank you.
By the way.
Work hard, man.
Yeah.
Work hard.
Might dig a little bit, but so culturally speaking, as a black man, when we talk about recovery and seeking help, how has marriage counseling played a role in your current situation?
See, we got lucky. She just by chance meeting, she ran into a dude at her work, and him and his wife do couples counseling, and they did their hours for us, and we still have a relationship with this couple today. They live in another state. The husband travels up here, and I just saw him not too long ago, actually. But what it was able to do for us is because we had us two on the Zoom call and those two, man and woman. And what it did for me and my spouse was it didn't allow us to hide behind our bullshit to each other, right? We were forced to face certain things from a man and a female perspective. Men want to be respected, women want to be loved. And they taught us that, right? and they called us on our shit. So yeah, we're very fortunate. If it worked out any other way, who knows what would have happened.
All right. What role do support systems and community resources play in your ongoing recovery?
Wait, ask one more time.
What role do support systems and community resources play in your ongoing recovery?
Support systems, everything. Like I said earlier, my family, my spouse, even my work relationships. Even my work relationships. I there is a duty to my work to be there every day. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And they instill a certain amount of trust in me. You know what I'm talking about when I'm
Yeah.
driving around. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What would I look like if I took advantage of that, right? And did something stupid when these people give me keys to buildings, keys to cars, and truth be told, the job I have now, this man didn't even know me and
Yeah.
gave me an opportunity. Didn't know me from Adam and put me up to where I am now. Come on, man.
So that's kind of like
Come on, man.
it does. It leads into this next question: is what role does honesty and accountability play in your recovery journey?
Everything, everything, every honesty and accountability is. I don't know if it's number one or 1A. It's up there. It's up there, right? If you can't have honesty and accountability, like I said earlier, then what are you doing, man? What are you doing? No one likes to be around a liar. You know what I'm saying? Nobody.
Yeah, but like I heard you say earlier, the fact that people trust you
Right.
with being accountable,
Mhm.
with giving you keys to buildings, with driving cars that aren't yours, with people's personal financial information,
Right.
Yeah. So
It's huge.
it's huge. You've come a long way,
Right.
right?
Right. Think about the financials. Very true. Very true.
How do you practice self-care and prioritize your own well-being amidst your busy schedule?
Self-care, I can get a little bit better at that. I need to get back on my little workout routine.
Yeah, you were running for a while.
I still
You
do,
still
just
run?
not as much. But listen, I'm finding excuses. I'm gonna get back into it soon. It's getting hot out, and I actually I like to work out in extreme conditions because I feel like I can get more from it for less amount of time, right? So now that it's hot out, you guys will see me up and down downtown running up these steep hills. And then what was the second part to that question?
I think you answered it.
Okay, yes, sir.
So, can you speak to the importance of self-belief and trusting in your own ability to change?
Mm, mm. Self-belief. I can do anything. And I believe I know I can do anything. Thus, why I have achieved the little bit of success I have achieved this far. I can do anything. And if I haven't done it yet, it's probably because I don't want to. I can do anything.
How do you handle setbacks or moments of doubt?
Setbacks are part of life, man. Like, man, listen, everyone who is successful got setback countless of times. I don't take setbacks personally. I don't take criticism personally. I believe in order to get where you are going, it should never be easy. Right?
Mm,
It shouldn't be easy.
yeah, it could be, but it doesn't mean it should be.
It could be.
Right?
But what's on the other side? If it's easy, there might be something wrong with it.
All right, can you share any rituals or practices that help ground you and keep you focused on your goals?
Just maintaining my schedule, I guess I would call that a ritual. I'm up early every day, and I keep myself accountable in one way by going somewhere several times a week to do something that I don't necessarily have to do, right? And I've been doing that for going on 3.5 years now. But it's important to me to keep that thing in my routine because of the discipline, right? And people People have asked me, why do you continue to do this? It's probably not worth it for you, but it is. It's not always about the money. You know what I mean? It's about me getting up and going to do this early. And to me, that's important, man.
Sounds like a ritual, right?
Boom.
How do you define success and fulfillment in your life now compared to before your recovery?
Mm. I think I define success by where we live. Not that it's a 20-bedroom house, but there's a roof over my children's head. There's plenty of food in the refrigerator, and my children love me.
Well
And
spoken.
and maybe I find that successful because I didn't always have that, right?
Yeah. What message would you like to share with others who may be struggling with addiction or mental health challenges?
You can do it, man, but you have to want to do it, right? No one is gonna want. Well, people will. There's always an entity or a group or an organization that will help you. There's always maybe family and friends that may or may not help you, but it's always out there if you seek it. It is. There's so many programs and peer workers nowadays. There's really no excuse. If you want to get clean, you can.
Speaking of peer work, who are the most influential people in your journey towards recovery and sustaining recovery?
Uh, my spouse, my mother, my DLC officer. Those three for sure, and my kids to some extent, right? Not that they understood always what was going on, but yeah, spouse, mother, DLC officer. They all held me accountable.
Yeah. What are you most proud of achieving since your release?
My children,
Hmm.
children.
Yeah, I could definitely agree with that. What are your goals for the next 5 years?
Hmm.
Oh boy.
Can't give you guys too many ideas, but to level up, man. To level up. I mean, nobody knows what tomorrow is gonna bring, but if I can level up continuously, I'm doing something right. And maybe this year it's gonna take me a little longer, but as long as I'm always leveling up, and I think about this so much, what's my next move? And wait till you guys see my next move. You know what I'm saying? But yeah,
Right.
leveling up.
You know, and some people don't know you're involved with a nonprofit.
Yeah.
And so, that being said, how do you plan to expand your impact in helping others?
I have this innate calling to want to help others,
Mm.
right? Probably because I've been there and I understand, right? I don't look at people who are still out there the same way that maybe a 46-year-old lady would who's never experienced that. You know, I've been there, so I know. And I have, I'm one of the busy ones who my schedule doesn't always fall in line with the group, but I am with the group and I'm going to reach out and use my network to see if I can get things that we can give back to the community, whether it be backpacks, whether it be food, whatever. But I have an extensive network, and I've
Mm.
thought about this, and I think that's where I come in. Is my network.
Okay, so how do you hope to inspire others with your story?
By putting it out there, right? Right? This is inspirational if someone sits down and listens. I was sleeping behind a dumpster behind McDonald's. Not even that long ago. You know what I'm saying? It can be done, man. Now I have keys to buildings.
Now I have keys to
Now I have
buildings.
keys to buildings.
Is there a message or principle you live by now that keeps you focused?
These kids got to eat, man.
These kids got to eat.
And they eat a lot, man. These kids got to eat, man.
All right. Some of y'all don't know You started a podcast.
Yep.
When is Loving Lacey coming back?
I will be back to Loving Lacey in June. So
Summertime.
Summertime. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, in June. And we got some topics for y'all's. Just because I haven't been there, my schedule has been a little bit rough the last few months. A lot of changes in my life, but I've been preparing. So check it out. Loving Lacey, baby.
So you mentioned peers earlier. With your experience with peers, I know one particular, Teresa, helped you a lot.
Oh my goodness.
What would you say to the public about peer support, and do you recommend it?
Absolutely. Because not always, but it's seeming to me that a lot of the peer work are people who have been there, right? A lot of them, a big population of them have been there, and they understand. Even the ones who maybe didn't live that life, they're around enough people to where they do understand. And that was a big thing for me, was relatability.
Yeah.
If I didn't feel like this counselor understood me, I wasn't trying to understand them, right? And maybe I didn't have that in the forefront of my mind, but it was here, right? And then when you meet that counselor who's maybe missing a tooth or something, or maybe you were out there with, or they know so and so, it hits a little bit different because they understand. You know what I'm saying?
No, it does.
They've been through the shit, even if they've been locked up.
A prerequisite for becoming a peer is lived experience, right?
Oh, so then that's why
self-identifying as being in recovery for at least a year is a literal prerequisite, right? Aside from taking the online course and doing the training, and I'm currently in the process of becoming a certified peer counselor trainer. I'm already a CPC, a recovery coach, and a few other things. I wear a few different hats.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of them. From prison to peer work. It's something I developed because I want to showcase lives like this.
Right.
These are true American success stories, because addiction doesn't have to be the end.
Right.
You get to change whenever you decide to change, right? You are essentially in control of your narrative. You just have to decide to pick up the pen and start authoring that new chapter.
That is so true.
That gives you peace, that gives you that fulfillment. Whatever you decide success is for you, write that in to the next chapter in your life. If you're struggling, is there anything just real heavy that you remember?
What do you mean about like
besides sleeping behind a dumpster, something that really was a moment where you were like, never again, like just where if you were outside watching that movie, it may those moments that you might have brought tears to your eyes watching you go through that.
I mean, there's probably a few, man. There's probably, every day was the worst day of my life. I can't remember how many times that phrase came out of my mouth. Every day. Wake up, something wouldn't go right. The dude wouldn't answer the phone, or we're waiting there in the parking lot for an hour. It's the worst day of my life. And this has continued over and over and over and over. And it would still be that way today if things hadn't changed, if I hadn't changed things. And I do want to say one other thing. When I was going through that part of it, people used to always tell me, whether it be in a meeting or someone who cared about me, it doesn't have to be this way, right? And I don't think that I fully understood that until I went through it. And if someone's out there watching this, like, understand that you can do it. And it may not seem like it, and it may not happen today, it may not happen tomorrow, but if you give it an honest effort, it will happen. And that is so incredibly true, man. It is, man. It's just, You have to want to do it. And if you take even a little bit, a little step of faith, people will come in flocks to help you. I mean, there's things for housing, there's vouchers for food, you can get clothing, you can get a job, and you don't even that whole narrative about people don't hire felons. Miss that, man. No one's going for that anymore. You know what I mean? Yeah,
Listen,
you
I
might not.
started my job with an
Right,
ankle monitor on,
with an ankle
and
monitor
I've
on,
and I've been
man.
doing nothing but what I love to do and what I'm passionate about, and that's helping people and giving back. And this right here, this connection,
Right.
these questions, we generated them, through a bio Calvin sent me. So I didn't even know what the questions are going to be. I
Right.
just printed them out, and I'm like, we're going authentic. Whatever comes
Off the
out his
cuff.
mouth comes out his mouth, you know, and it is what it is. So like, just know there are people out there like us that have been through it, that
Right.
have also gone through some additional trainings to become certified peer counselors to help hold the hope and show the way. And our county has so many resources. We
A
really do. You
bunch.
just have to be connected with the right person that will help you navigate those resources in the right way.
Right.
Right way, right place, right time. And recovery is possible. It's real. It exists.
It really is, man. It really
Any
is.
final words of wisdom, and then I'm gonna give you an opportunity to just I'm gonna give you 3 questions my way.
Okay.
So any final words of wisdom that you just want to put out there, and then what 3 questions do you have for me before we slide out?
Understand, if you just a little bit of faith, a little bit of show a little bit of sacrifice, and the rest will come, man. And I sincerely mean that. People will help you. If you want to help yourself. Okay. You caught me off guard, man. Okay. What Where do you see yourself going in this line of work? What is the end goal? What does B want to be when he grows up in this line of work?
I'm where I need to be right now.
Mm,
I'm doing the work. I don't personally anymore, look at potential.
okay.
I look at what I'm doing today, what's in front of me, it's really a practice to get there, you know, because to me, potential means you're not enough right now,
Right.
right?
Right.
So
Right.
when you ask me what I'm going to be when I'm grown up, I'm already grown up.
Hmm.
I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and I am where I'm supposed to be, and where it goes, it goes. I'm not going to stop. I'm going to retire from doing this work into doing this work.
Mm,
It is what it is.
right.
That's what I see myself doing. Got 2 more, brother.
Okay. Okay. Um, what was the catalyst for you? What was your aha moment that made you want to do what you're doing today?
My ultimate aha moment was my kids' arms like this, screaming and crying in the middle of a raid where CPS was at my house. Like they collaborated with the police to do the raid, so I had to watch my kids get snatched up and
Mm,
scream and cry as I was in cuffs, and just every visit that they left and would re-trigger that. For me, one of the most traumatizing moments in my life
right.
was the visits would go great, hour and a half, whatever, before COVID, and then as soon as it was time to go, they would both just, you know, tears and crying. And there were times where, I'm going back to a unit of men. This is prison, and I had to wipe my
Put on
tears
that
on the
face,
way
yeah.
down the elevator and try to make sure I was good, because for me those were some of the most crucial moments, because if I would have stepped off that elevator into a bad situation, somebody would have got hurt,
Right.
and it was because I was hurting and
Mm,
I was upset with where I was, and what the accumulation of my actions had led me there. And so in the midst of like owning accountability for those moments, I'm going to be honest, when COVID hit and visits stopped and I got sent to California, it was almost a relief that something else took visits away from me, so I didn't have to decide to be like, I don't want visits anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I do.
Like it was, yeah. So for me, it was like, no one's ever gonna snatch my kids away from me like that again. By my doing. It's gonna be a fight to the death,
right?
To snatch my kids from my presence,
and one of us got to go.
Somebody, yeah. It's not gonna be
right.
with my willing participation. I participated in that. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
All right. Last one, and then we're sliding out of here.
What do you think the number one trait is in someone who has corrected their life from that side? If there was a number one trait that was in everyone, or maybe it was his number 2 or his number 4, but if we were took an average, what do you think the number one trait is?
Honesty. And I mean that because in order for you to make genuine, authentic changes in your life, you have to first be honest with yourself. And if you can't do that, then the changes either A, aren't real, or it's like planting seeds in gravel.
Right.
It's not going to take root.
Right.
It's not going to grow. You're going to say it on the surface as many times as we've done that. I've been to prison 4 times. I've been to juvie a bunch of times. I've done over half my life in prison. And I know for a fact, every time I was there, I said, I'm not coming back.
Right.
Every single time.
Right.
Right? So when someone's honest with themselves and make that decision to embrace the fact that they don't like where they're at and they need to do something different, and it's not some external force writing that narrative, that is an internal evolution that has to happen.
Right.
When that happens, that's honesty. That's my answer.
That's deep. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I appreciate you, man. We got the kids in the background. We got this is life. This is
life now.
This was a pull up. So these interviews are going to happen just like this. I'm going to pull up on people that want to share their stories. We're going to set up the mics. We're going to run the camera. And you guys are going to get genuine, authentic, unrehearsed content.
Yes, sir.
Real life. This is peer work. From prison to peer work. Kalvin Edwards.
Thank you for having me, sir. Thank you for having me.
It's your boy, B. Willis.